Hi there. Welcome to Camp Forest Green. What's that you say? Camp Crystal Lake? I know what you're talking about. This is Camp Forest Green, making memories that last a lifetime for little boys and girls for decades. I hope you enjoy your stay. So today promises to be a pretty fun day. I am standing right in front of Camp Daniel Morgan, which was the location for Camp Forest Green, aka Camp Crystal Lake in Friday the 13th Part 6. There's actually a gate back there, right behind me. And I have the key. I'm about to go inside Camp Crystal Lake. Oh, sorry, Camp Forest Green, right? Don't want to remember the things that happen at Camp Crystal Lake, do we? And I'm about to go in. Come on, if you dare. So Camp Daniel Morgan is part of Hard Labor State Park here in Rutledge, Georgia. Just gonna be down that road. I just have to open this lock, and then I think I need to lock it behind me. Which means I'm basically going to be locking myself inside Camp Forest Green. I hope Jason's not there. I got it off. Just going to open the gate here. Open this side too. I'll be on my way inside Camp Forest Green. Sure does look pretty. I'm about to go in. I am so excited. If you follow me, you know how excited I get at these places. Places where my favorite movies were filmed on Friday the 13th. Well, I do love the franchise, but number 6 especially, with C.J. Graham playing the role of Jason Voorhees. One of my favorite Jasons. Now, in the interest of transparency, I have been here before, a couple years ago, on my first and only other trip to Georgia with a couple of friends. And I don't know what happened. I was with one of my dear friends, William Dickey, Billy's Spot Shots. Check him out on YouTube. He dressed as Jason. He got in the lake. He was, you know, doing the whole bit. And we were having so much fun that before you know it, our time ran out. We had to leave because they were closing. And we didn't get to do all the things we came here to do. And we just left here kind of shaking our heads going, what just happened? But so ever since, I've been wanting to come back and, you know, have a second stab at it. So here I am, finally. I'm just as excited as if I've never been here before. And gonna go in and do all the stuff I couldn't do before. So come along with me. I hope this should be some fun today. If you would like to visit, you just have to stop at the Hard Labor Creek office and get a parking pass for $5. And then you too can visit Camp Forest Green, aka Camp Crystal Lake. And away we go. Oh, this is so exciting. I can't believe I'm inside here all by myself. Inside Camp Crystal Lake. Renamed Camp Forest Green in the interest of trying to erase its horrific past. we have it. The entrance to Camp Forest Green. Oh my goodness. Wow. Wowie wow. So right here was the post that had all those little sayings on it about campers and all the qualities you need to have. And Jason walked right into camp one night, right through this entrance, right here. We saw this building on the left here. Oh my goodness. Walking right in the footsteps of C.J. Graham right now, entering Camp Forest Green. Wow. I can't believe I'm here. Now this building on the right over here is the mess hall, and that is the building where you saw the kitchen, where the camp counselors were bringing in the groceries, and it's also the building that was used for the little girls' cabin. It was also used for the boys' cabin as well, for the interior shots. Oh my gosh, it's just crazy to be here. Absolutely crazy. Some picnic tables over there. Wow. It's absolutely wild to be here and be able to take my time and just soak it all in. The people of Hard-Labor State Park, they're so generous to let fans in here and to do this and kind of walk where Jason walked and have this experience. I know there's a ton of other videos, other people have been here, but this is my experience, so it's cool. It's so cool. I'm gonna geek out a little, or maybe a lot. So right here I'm standing in the area where they would have parked, where the camp counselors would have parked, and they were unloading their groceries. You do see this building right behind them. You see that door. Of course, you see this billboard. You see that stone column back there, and you see some of this building as well. So it's right here where they are unloading their groceries, talking about what's coming up, and then as they unload their groceries, they turn around and they go inside the mess hall through that door right there. It is locked. I was not given access to go inside, but I have been inside before, so I will be posting some photos that I have from the interior of that building. This is where they were unloading the groceries from their truck. Oh my gosh, it's crazy. It looks like it has not changed at all in all these years. That's pretty wild. And just to the left here is the parking lot. Just inside those windows is the kitchen area. That's where they were unloading the groceries, and they were having their conversation and talking about Jason. And as they looked out the windows right there, which you can't, there's a screen there now, is when they saw the bus pull up with all of the children. And some of them thought that might be scarier than actually dealing with Jason Voorhees themselves. Right inside there. Well, I could not get inside the kitchen, but this window screen was hanging off. So I can at least show you, that's the countertop where Court was sitting. That's the kitchen where they were putting the groceries away. Now it's a little blurry. Obviously the window is kind of dirty. There's the kitchen island in the center there. So you can see the countertop and the windows a little bit better there. And the door that they would have come through would be on the far right. Whoops. So that's where that occurred. Right inside there. And then, of course, when they were filming the scenes in the mess hall where the beds were, they just sort of blocked off the door to this kitchen so that you didn't realize it was the same building. But that's the kitchen from Friday the 13th, Part 6. Kind of see the lake back there. Got some more cabins down here. So here is another cool spot from Friday the 13th, Part 6. There's actually a trail you could take down from the camp where the buildings are, up that trail there, and it brings you to this little fire pit area. So right where I am standing is where Megan was standing, and she was giving the little girls a little pep talk on what to expect at camp. Are we gonna have a lot of fun this weekend? Are we gonna scare all the boys? Are we gonna not eat Brussels sprouts? Yay! And the girls are like, yeah, yeah! And meanwhile, back by that tree, Sissy and Paula are standing there kind of egging Megan on. And that is when we learned that Sissy's favorite passion is boys, because she says Court has taken the boys and has given the boys a little history lesson about camping and things. So she says he's doing my favorite thing, Boy Scouting, or something like that. So that is right here at this fire pit area. It's really nice, which is right on the water's edge. And yes, you do see this in Little Darlings as well. This is where they gather for camp songs, and you see it at the end where everybody's getting ready to leave. And Sunshine boots the little model girl right off the edge of the seat because they're a little mad at her about that time in the film. So this is where that happens. It's just a hike down from where the buildings are. Obviously they have campfires here. I think there's a pretty tall stack of woods in the pit in the scene. And it's actually a really pretty, serene, kind of quiet spot. Right on the waterfront. Lots and lots of leaves. I love the sound of crunching leaves beneath my feet. So there you have it. I'll tell you what, filming location or not, this is pretty cool. It's like a little cathedral in the woods with the benches built in. And, you know, excuse my tripod, right on the water's edge, the fire pit in the middle. This is really cool. I've never been camping in my entire life, but I think I might actually camp here. If the opportunity arose, I think I would actually consider camping here. It's just beautiful. Camp Daniel Morgan here at Hard Labor State Park. I love it. All right, back up the trail. We got more spots to see. Come along. While the left side of this building was used for the kitchen, which is actually a real-life kitchen, the right side of the building, which in real life is a mess hall that has dining tables, was used to portray both the girls' and the boys' cabin, but we'll talk about that more later. Most of the time when we saw it, it was used to show us the girls' cabin when the girls were sleeping. We saw it when Paula and Sissy came running over because the little blonde girl screamed because she saw Jason. In my photographs, you'll see that the bed she slept in was right by the wall where there is a black mark on the wall that is still there to this day, making that spot very recognizable. We see the interior of this building again later when Jason walks in, walks over to the little blonde girl, stands there looming over her, and he suddenly leaves when he hears the police arrive. When used as the girls' or boys' cabin, they do conceal the door to the kitchen that is in the background, so you do not know it's the same building. Right here in the scene where Court was having sexual activities with a gorgeous brunette in an RV, that RV was parked right here. I know they made it look like it was deep in the woods, but it was actually right here. They just used creative camera angles so you didn't see any of those cabins in the background. You know, Hollywood magic, right? And of course they erected the fake utility pole that Jason used to cut off the power to the RV. Right over here is a building with some picnic tables, so all they had to do was pull some of those picnic tables or one of those picnic tables out and put it out here, so it looked that they were camping in the RV out in the woods in some picnic area within a forest. But nope, it was right here on the grounds of Camp Daniel Morgan where all of the other camp scenes were filmed. Jason wasted no time slipping back into his old habits. Since his resurrection, he's already killed the head camp counselors, Darren and Lisbeth, the people playing paintball, the cemetery caretaker, and the newly engaged couple. And just as the sheriff's office starts finding the bodies of those killed with Jason's old MO, we see Jason walk right into Camp Forest Green at night, right through these poles right here, which were much taller at that time, completely undetected. One thing we know for certain, more carnage and bloodshed lies ahead. This is the girls' counselors' cabin, or the cabin for the girl counselors. And we see this. We see Jason arrive at night, and he stands right here. We can see him standing there stalking the place, and there's a power pole, and he knocks out the power before deciding to enter the property and go after its occupants, shall we say. It's a pretty cool looking building for such horrible events to take place here at Camp Forest Green. Okay, it's kind of dark in here, but here is the fireplace. And if I go too much closer, it's going to get really dark. But this stone right here is a kind of a prominent stone. It has a unique shape, unique markings, and you do see that in both films, Friday the 13th Part 6 and Little Darlings. But this is a Friday the 13th Part 6 video. Right over here is about where Sissy was sitting, having popcorn, reading a book, until she heard some strange noises. And she thought that perhaps it was Court playing some kind of joke on her. So she went over to the windows, and we know it was a window that was completely opposite from the fireplace because you see the fireplace behind her. And she pours the soda out the window, and I believe it was this one right here because of this dark knot. And of course, it's not Court, and she ends up being, yanked out that window with such velocity that her slippers fall off her feet and land there. And that's the last we see of Sissy. Paula was over in this bed over here, trying to enjoy her slumber, just thinking that Sissy and Court were up to, some shenanigans, teenage shenanigans. She is awakened by the young blonde girl walking in carrying a bloody knife, which of course belongs to Jason. She found it, and she wants to deliver it to Paula to say, see, there is a scary man here. And she lays it right here on the ground. You could see these markings in that scene, and they're still here to this day. Another telltale giveaway that the little girl approaches Paula in her bed here and lays the knife down there, as if the markings in the floor were not enough, is this mark in the paneling here, this vertical mark. It's just to the left of the little girl's shoulder. All of these things look so much the same this many years later. And what started out as what promised to be a fun camping weekend, oh, it didn't end well, did it? Paula later is sitting on her bed thinking she's imagining things, and she notices the door has blown open. So she's a little scared. She walks over, takes a look, doesn't see anything, so she thinks it's all her imagination. Goes to close the door when, boom! Jason appears. And the next thing you know, we're outside the cabin. We don't see what's going on, but of course we can, our imaginations can pretty much tell us what's going on. So there was like a sofa here with a fan back. This is where the girls spent a lot of their time. Again, in Little Darlings, the model character had a lot of her photos hanging there. So Tatum O'Neal and Kristy McNichol would have been... Actually, I think they had beds that were right here. Right next to each other. So later on in the film, Megan, when she is coming back, trying to help Tommy put Jason to rest once and for all, she comes and looks in the door, and she sees nothing but blood everywhere. Blood on the windows, blood on the floors, blood on the beds, blood on the slippers. I mean, it is everywhere. Whew. We do see this door. They do go in and out of that door a few times. So this is definitely the cabin of the ill-fated counselors, Paula and Sissy. After Jason enters and slams that door shut on Paula, the camera kind of pans back, and we are left to our imaginations as to what is going on inside. But I think we all knew it wasn't going to end well. Which is confirmed a minute later when Jason smashes her bloody torso through the glass window. Such a pretty setting for such a gruesome sequence of events. Well, thankfully, it's fictional though. Totally fictional. Well, I admire their desire to try and, erase their past. Who wouldn't like that sometimes? But, sometimes you just can't. You just can't. You can call a pig a donkey, but it's still a pig. And I think they learned the hard way. You cannot escape your past. Nice try, though. With the discovery of all those bodies, the sheriff's office is finally taking this thing seriously. And they're also on the lookout for Tommy, who has escaped with Megan's help. They all show up at the camp, and they begin their search for Jason. That was the firewood storage cabin. In the movie, it was full of fire logs. If you recall, there were fireplaces in both the cabin used for the little girls and little boys, as well as the cabin that the two camp counselors were staying in. So they needed firewood, and this is where it was stored. Now, when we see it in the movie, one of the police officers is on patrol on the hunt for Jason. It's at night. It's dark. And he's out here with his flashlight. And I'll turn the camera and show you that angle. So the police officer is coming from over there. He's walking this direction. There was a tree there. You see a tree stump behind him. And you kind of see this corner here of this firewood storage structure. And he's walking around here with his flashlight. And he thinks he hears a noise, so he gets a little startled. You know, I mean, look at the scenery here. You're in a place like this and you hear a noise when you know Jason Voorhees is on the loose. Wouldn't you get a little startled? But it actually just turns out to be that little blonde girl. That little blonde girl has been seeing Jason all night long, and people think she's crazy. But she's not.
As the police officer is consoling her, Jason emerges from the bushes, she runs, he starts shooting, but to no avail.
And Jason crushes his skull in his bare hands right here in front of this wood pile. Just a few moments later, the sheriff is patrolling the property looking for Jason Voorhees as well. And he comes from that direction and comes around here with his rifle drawn. And once again, you see a part of this structure as the sheriff makes his appearance. This building right here was used to portray the exterior of the boys' cabin. There's one scene where all the boys are kind of standing on the stairs there and the door is a little bit open. But you really don't see inside of the cabin. So this was only used for the exterior. The interior of the boys' cabin was actually filmed in the mess hall, the same room where the girls were set up. They just changed the dressing a little bit. There are actually some knots visible on the door to that area, to where they were, where the beds were, where they were sleeping. And you'll notice if you freeze frame, when the sheriff is coming in and he opens that door when they're looking for Jason, when it's set up to be the boys' room, there's a dartboard on it, and you could see the knots on the door. And then when he's coming in supposedly to check on the girls in the girls' cabin, the dartboard is gone, but the same knots are on the door. That pretty much confirms that that same building was used to portray both the inside of the girls' cabin and the boys' cabin. But this was the outside. This area right here was used in a pretty pivotal scene. Now we actually had some pretty good rains yesterday, so everything is wet, and I'm trying really hard not to fall and slip on these wet, slippery leaves. But this is where the sheriff had his first face-to-face encounter with the one and only Jason Voorhees. The sheriff is out doing his own patrol of the property looking for Jason, and he comes from this direction and he makes this turn, and we see part of this structure next to the sheriff, who's about right there with his weapon drawn. He trips over his officer, falls to the ground, and realizes that his officer, he's seen better days. I think he touches him, gets a little grossed out. When he comes face to face with Jason, who's standing actually right about where I'm standing. Yikes. Where Jason is standing, you see this little vertical crack in the siding right here. I'm literally standing where CJ Graham is standing as Jason. Tripping. There's the crack. All I need is a Jason mask, and you wouldn't even know the difference, right? Alright, hopefully this is going to do better. Again, it's pretty wet and slippery here, so I'm trying not to have a fall. So where that crack is right there is where Jason was. And then you see that crack in front of where the sheriff is. So the sheriff would have been right about back there, holding his gun on Jason. And he actually does shoot Jason, but of course, as we know, Jason doesn't die. Jason doesn't die. So Jason continues to come after him. And what does the sheriff do? He runs off like a coward into the woods back there. This is it. This is where that confrontation took place. That's pretty crazy. That's pretty crazy. Alright, so just to kind of give you a little idea of the layout, this is where, if you remember, the groceries were being unloaded on the opposite side of that billboard, because we saw that billboard and we saw this post and we saw part of these two cabins. Down there was the building used for the exterior of the boys' cabin, but only the opposite side over there. We did not see that side. And then over here is the cabin behind which the sheriff has his confrontation with Jason, right back there. And then of course up here, getting my exercise today, is the parking lot and the pavilion with the picnic tables. Now, I'm not going to be doing a video on Little Darlings. I don't have time to get to all the spots, but of course it's well documented that Little Darlings was filmed here as well. And there's a scene where the family comes to visit the kids, and Kristy McNichol and her mother sit down here at one of the picnic tables and enjoy some burgers. So that would have happened right there. This is the other side of the cabin where the sheriff has this confrontation with Jason. Of course, we don't see this side in the film, but just to give you an idea, since we're here, why not, of what it looks like. Looks like it's storage in there. It's really beautiful out here. Very pretty, very quiet. Lots of chirping birds. And of course up there is the main entrance where I parked my car. So it's all pretty much filmed in a relatively close area on these grounds. Just take a little peek inside here since the door's open. Not really much going on here. Oh, looky here. I'm wondering if this isn't left over from Little Darlings. Little Wolf, Little Theater. Oh my gosh, is that a prop from the film? Little Wolf, Little Theater? I mean, the only time this place was known as Camp Little Wolf was Little Darlings. Otherwise, it's Camp Daniel Morgan. Well, isn't that interesting? I'll have to go back and watch the movie and see if there was such a sign over the door or something. Little Wolf, Little Theater. Holy cow. How about that? Now in this building there was a little bit of Hollywood trickery. Now this is the mess hall, so this is where the little girls and even the little boys, they were all kind of hustled into the one cabin towards the end of the movie when they realized Jason was on the prowl to keep them safe. So Tommy is down at the boat dock. He's kind of rigging the boat to kind of trap Jason, and Megan comes over here to check on the children. And Jason bursts through that door and grabs a hold of Megan. Now it is actually a door, but in the movie they made it look like a window and the bottom was siding, so it looked as though Jason was crashing through the wall. But it is actually a door, so that was just a little bit of Hollywood trickery. Give you a little frame of reference back there, just to the side of the tree there. That is the boys' cabin. Okay. And we just kind of come down this path right here. and you'll see something that looks pretty familiar. Geeking out time! Camp Forest Green, aka Camp Crystal Lake. Right before my very eyes. And now, right before your eyes too. Oh my gosh. Even though I was here before, it's still just sending an incredible chill up my spine. It's quite a thrill to be here. Let's try not to fall on the way. Oh my goodness. It's a beautiful day out here too. Yesterday it was very rainy in this area. Today is beautiful. Now I'm hearing some noises. That's a little creepy. As long as it's not, I guess I'm good. No lifeguard on duty. Swim at your own risk. Yeah, definitely. This is it. Crystal Lake, where the finale of the movie was filmed. So, as I said, I was here once before with a couple of friends. Billy Dickey from Billy's Spot Shots. Billy's Spot Shots. He was dressed as Jason. He was in the water attacking me on the deck. And Adam Ramirez from Adam Was Here was filming, and we were just having so much fun. We completely lost track of time. The park was closing. We had to leave. And well, Billy and I are really the Friday the 13th kind of super fans. So we left here looking at each other going, and it might not have been right away. It might have taken a minute to sink in. But at some point, we kind of looked at each other and said, what just happened? Because we didn't get to go do and see everything I've just been doing and showing you. Like, we don't know. So ever since, I've been wanting to get back here and have a do-over. And that is today. I only wish Billy were here in his Jason outfit to jump out. That would make this perfecto. Now you can't come all the way out here and not go out on the pier, right? So we're going to go ahead. So this is where the finale of the movie was filmed, or at least I should say a part of it. I had the great pleasure of meeting C.J. Graham. He made an appearance at a venue that is local to me. He is a very handsome and very charming man. It's hard to believe that's what was behind that dreadful Jason look from Friday the 13th Part 6. When I met him, he told me that actually the scenes with the water were filmed in three different locations. So when you see Tommy, you know, getting the boat ready, and you see Megan walking up and down the pier, that is here. And Tommy's in the boat, kind of getting things ready, getting the chain ready. He's going to trap Jason and put him back down on the bottom of Crystal Lake, where he was all those years ago, which is what started this whole thing. So that was definitely filmed here. However, when you see the underwater scenes, that was actually done in a pool in Los Angeles. And that pool no longer exists. And then a third pool was used, somebody's pool in their backyard, for some final cuts where Jason's getting all chopped up by the propeller from the boat. So that was not filmed here. But all of the other stuff was getting the boat ready and a few other scenes. I'm totally tripping! Listen to that. So I want to point out this angle. There's a scene where the police are on the property looking for Jason, and one of the officers starts walking down the pier this way. There's some lights, some black pole lights. I don't believe those were real. Those were just for the movie. And the little lights, the little can lights, were kind of swinging because it was a windy night. And the sheriff comes walking this way, and what do you think happens to him? What do you think happens? Of course, Jason gets him, throws I think it's a knife or something, hits him in the head, and he falls overboard off the pier and lands in one of the canoes that's in the water. And then, of course, we see Tommy Jarvis coming this way when he's getting ready to trap Jason. He's got his equipment. And, of course, we see Megan running this way when she's running after Tommy because she was a little worried for him. That'll happen right here. When I was here before, I sat on the edge of that pier right there, and my personal Jason came up behind me and scared the living daylights out of me. I'll see if I can't find that video and try to insert it here, because that would have been great if he could have been here today.
I don't believe all those legends about Jason Voorhees. It's just a bunch of hooey.
Oh my gosh, I have absolutely had a ball out here at Camp Daniel Morgan. Absolutely. I really want to thank the camp staff, managers, for letting me come out. I've been out here for like 3 hours. I thought I would be here for 1 hour, but I've been having a ball walking in the footsteps of CJ Graham and all the other cast members, Tom Matthews, and just everybody, kind of reliving this film in the flesh. So thank you guys so much for allowing me. I'm not a big YouTuber, you know, like Horrors Hallowed Grounds or Tampa J or some of the other Adam the Woo. And I'm not trying to do this for a living. It's just a little hobby. So I want to thank them for indulging a little hobbyist like me. This has been great. So great. Well, unlike the Forest Green Police Department, it seems as though I have survived Camp Forest Green, Camp Crystal Lake, who are they fooling, and Jason Voorhees. So I hope you enjoyed this video. If so, maybe give it a like, maybe subscribe, maybe you'll like something that you see. Until next time, take care, thanks for watching, and have a great rest of your day. Bye.